build it, he will.
It's the Skinny on Sports Podcast with Aaron Cowk.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cowk with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
And a good Garrison Financial Friday out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports right here on 98.1 FM, The Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. We will get into the high school football, maybe right here at the top, for sure at the bottom of the show as well. Did you see that score last night?
I did.
Guthrie for real. I guess Carl Albert had to throw a touchdown pass on fourth down with under a minute to go to win the game.
Wow.
Now, they did get more than three, which Guthrie had only given up 3 points all year until last night. But, man, heck of a game. Big games around the state, of course. Big Elks hosting Weatherford tonight. We'll talk about that one. All the others in 4A1 and Merritt and Sarah and Hollis as well. College football, what scares you? Is there anything that scares you about UCF coming to Norman? Can Oklahoma run the ball for more than 200 yards against one of the very worst run defenses in the country? Is it a battle for third in Morgantown coming up tomorrow? OSU in West Virginia. Big games around the country as well. Ohio State, Penn State headlining the group tomorrow in college football. MLB playoffs. Ruh-roh. Jared's got the mad look on his face today.
I've packed up all my Ranger stuff. Series,
He burned it.
It's over.
Jared burned his stuff in the fire pit last night.
I packed it up. I've got my Thunder gear out.
Hey, like I said, good news. They're going back to Houston, so I'll give you a chance.
Maybe. Well, no, they got one more tonight.
I know, but they're definitely going back to Houston.
Going back to Houston, yeah.
I might give the Rangers a chance to get back in this series.
I was going to say that, well, at least he can watch Miami play in the soccer playoffs, but no, Messi didn't make the soccer playoffs.
What a bummer.
First year in the league, and his team doesn't make the playoffs.
Well, if they'd have just got him a little earlier.
That's true.
They had him pretty far
when
behind the eight ball.
Getting the crud kicked out of you, and you're like, hey, here's a half a season.
Yeah. That voice here is Scotty G. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm better than Jared, man. This guy looks...
It's amazing
Look
what two.
It's sports. I'm fine.
Forehead keeps getting redder.
I'm fine.
It's amazing what happens in 2 days. 2 days ago, it was like singing a nice little tune. And,
Yeah.
hey, we might sweep them.
Hell.
Now it's like,
Do you blame me? They're up 2-0. They got it on the road. I wasn't the only one singing that tune.
It's just
Pretty confident.
Will Bowie said, "There's such a thing as soccer."
It's okay. That's okay.
I can't do it. Before you leave, you've got to read the text messages I'm getting.
They're just flowing in.
No, but it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with any of this. You'll find it hilarious.
All right.
A former classmate is involved.
Not wanting to put it on the text line though, huh?
Oh no! This isn't sports related.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You'll laugh. All right. Something I was asking you, talking about before the show. Last week, around Thursday of last week, I saw the Oklahoma football Twitter account tweet out that they had sold an extra 1,000 season tickets for 2024, the first year in the SEC. Thought it was the timing was obvious coming off the win against Texas. And so I guess the first question is there a way to judge what the economic impact to not only the football team but the university, and not just the win against Texas, but also that move to the SEC? It may take a while, I guess, maybe, but I would think, and you have stuff to prove this, good football in the SEC matters to the college as much or more than it does the actual football program.
Yeah. So Alabama, after Alabama's first national championship win, their applications to the school for students doubled. Not athletes. Their application to the school for college students doubled. which is just insane.
Are you talking like in the modern era, like the very first national,
Their
or like the
first-
first Saban national?
Saban.
The first Saban national
Gotcha.
championship.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, think about that, because you're talking about kids that aren't getting those aren't scholarship kids. Those are kids that are paying full tuition.
Right.
You know, so
Everybody likes to hitch their wagon
but
to a winner. That's for
but
sure.
not just that. Your apparel,
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
See, it's funny you say apparel, because everybody remembers our age. Everybody remembers like East Bay magazine, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so when I was like in junior high and early high school, you'd look at the starter jackets,
Oh yeah.
and you know what would be
I had my
conspicuous.
Pittsburgh starter.
Did you have a
jacket.
Pittsburgh?
Oh,
See,
yeah.
what would be missing in the college line? OU.
Oh,
Because
that's
it was
right.
the middle of the 90s and they weren't any good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you pick one up in 2001, boom, they're like the first one.
Yeah.
And so that just it amazed me how much, because obviously being from Oklahoma, when you'd see all those different magazines there for a long time, you wouldn't even see Oklahoma as an option to buy.
Yeah.
You'd almost have to call the hotline and be, hey, do you have OU stuff? Then all of a sudden, Stoops comes, win the national championship, and you didn't have to call the hotline anymore. They actually had a number for it that you could just enter in.
How much does 3 picks and a frog stomping from Notre Dame make Caleb Williams jersey sales drop?
Yeah. Yeah, all of a
Sorry.
sudden.
I just
No, it definitely
Oh, that
dropped
was-
his
was that
Heisman
not-
stock. I'm sure his apparel sales have gone down. Sure.
that wasn't anywhere near as good as OU beating Texas, but that was almost as good as an OU win.
Man, I made a guarantee last week,
Uh-oh.
and I forgot to look this up. So you know how you have, once the TV ratings start coming out, and then they'll break it down by city? Who watched?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I made a guarantee that Oklahoma City would be one of the top 2. Ahead of LA.
I'll bet
like
you money.
maybe behind. Let's see if we can find this on the fly.
I'll bet
I
you
forgot all
money
about it.
that Oklahoma City was in the top 2. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
above,
Watching the Notre Dame.
above Los Angeles, maybe behind like Chicago.
Yeah. So where do they finish this season? Where's USC finish? What's your over under now?
Because
What's
they have
the Ve-
Utah
what's Vegas
today, or
over-under?
tomorrow. They have Utah tomorrow. They got Washington left. They got Oregon left. They have UCLA left. Just off the top of my head,
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people saying those 4 games will go 2-2. I'm not ready to go there.
I'm not going to give
I'm
them
not
2
ready
and 2.
to go there. You think worse?
9.5.
9.5. So Vegas thinks they're going to lose at
I mean,
least
that was
2
in,
more.
that was in September. That was
that was September?
that was-
Wow. Huh. Interesting. I wonder what it is now. Because I bet it's
I don't know. I'd like to know what Notre Dame saw that. Well, they didn't have to see a lot. They had immense pressure on them up front all night
Well,
long.
yeah.
Forced bad passes. I don't even know if downfield coverage was a thing because it seemed like snap, sack,
Yeah,
snap,
but-
sack.
We've seen it. How do you slow him down? You hem him up.
Mm-hmm.
You can almost give him all the time in the world back there.
keep him in the pocket.
Just keep him in the pocket. And what's his natural inclination is to do what?
Tuck it and run.
No, try to make the biggest play on the field.
Yeah.
We've seen it for now. When you think about watching his play, even here, when were the big giant plays really made? It was when he was outside the pocket, either with running or throwing. It was
Right.
moving. But if you kept him standing there, patting the ball, he just waited until somebody started going deep, and he'd throw it to the other team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rush 3, drop 8.
That's true.
And there was times where Notre Dame was on him immediately, but there was also other times where they didn't let him get out, and then eventually the walls kind of closed in, and he did something silly.
And he had his hard time making. Yeah. You cover up his top 2 receivers, and he starts to struggle. When he's having to look, he's starting to struggle. So, yeah.
And he trusts his arm, which I would too if I was him. Let's not kid ourselves. He's got
his
a
arm is
cannon.
incredible.
But he trusts it so much that when he sees things late, he still thinks he can get it in there.
Yeah.
And sometimes he can. And the other night he
Well,
couldn't.
against lesser teams, he can. And I wonder if it's Utah who set this blueprint up. Maybe a little his time at OU. Shoot, was it even Kansas when they struggled? But
You know,
But now they got Utah is what I'm getting at. They got Utah this week, a team that beat them twice last year. But with or without Cam Rising? I've heard both.
But is offense the thing that – I mean, they're going to move – Utah will move the ball because USC's defense is so abysmal that –
See, to me, that was the funniest part of the entire Notre Dame game. So USC's defense actually played pretty good. They only gave up like 250 yards.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter because you look up and it's 48, and people that didn't watch the game were like, oh, my God, Grinch's defense still sucks. Well, it was actually pretty good.
It wasn't the defense that was the problem there.
No. What, a
It
kickoff
was not.
return? Thankfully, it was Mario Williams that fumbled away the ball there at the end.
Yeah.
So what do you make of what we saw yesterday? Speaking of USC, speaking of Lincoln.
Well, here's my question. If I'm an NFL scout and I watch that game and I watch his tape, I think that there's maybe two other quarterbacks that I'm going to take before him.
Yeah, not me.
And then when you he's still your number one guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now here's the difference between me and maybe what you hear.
But
you're hearing
here's
he's the best prospect since who go back as far as you want to. There's flaws there, and one of them is
flaws.
that he feels like he tries so hard to be the spectacular part of what Patrick Mahomes does that he forgets Patrick Mahomes normally just plays quarterback.
Yeah.
Just takes what the defense gives him and stands there and just throws it to the open guy.
Yeah.
And that's the part of his game that I think he's missing because, one, ego and that the arrogance of expecting to have ownership as a guy that's never thrown a pass.
That's where I was going to go. That's where I was going to go. I'm not just going off of his athletic ability. I mean, he's a head case. He is a head case.
You think it's him or his dad?
Does it matter? If his dad is controlling him, does it matter?
Yeah, probably not.
If daddy's in charge, And
that's a hard conversation to have as a kid. Dad, you're out.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to not a lot of people could do that.
If he's going to be a Dr. Evil crying because his daddy didn't love him, I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I thought that Jim Draper's analysis earlier I think it was Jim, was interesting. Kind of like a Jamarcus Russell. Jamarcus Russell could throw the ball end zone to end zone. I mean, the arm was incredible. But, you get to the NFL and you get Diggs covering up one receiver and
yeah,
we'll see.
Do you think, so the Lincoln stuff yesterday, Dan Patrick, which, he's one of those guys that you don't see messing up very often.
He doesn't mess up very often.
With his information. He's the one that fires out there that Lincoln Riley's already making overtures toward NFL teams to move on with Caleb, if at all possible. A lot of people think he would fit in Charger land with Justin Herbert seamlessly, and that if Brandon Staley doesn't get fired this offseason, I have no idea what the Chargers are doing.
Yeah.
Do you think, though, for Williams, better for his NFL prospects that Lincoln comes with, or that he breaks away from him and gets coached by somebody else, a new perspective?
I think it's all going to matter on how the offense performs for the rest of the year, because if the offensive line can't block, then now it's more of a question of, well, how much did Biedenbow have to do with Lincoln Riley's offensive success at Oklahoma?
Mm-hmm.
How much did future NFL starting tackles and guards and the best center, maybe the best center that the NFL has seen in 20 years. I mean, his career has certainly started – Humphrey's career has certainly started out looking like that.
Oh, yeah.
What did those guys have to do with his success at the University of Oklahoma?
Yeah, I know these guys played before, but it's to your point. When you hear guys, any NFL conversation about offensive line, the top two tackles and the best center are all from the same school. It's crazy but it is.
Yeah,
and
those aren't the only guys either.
Right.
I mean,
it's super interesting.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that Williams allegedly wants part ownership of wherever he is going. And then coupled with the fact that if it's true that Riley wants to go with, would that make Williams Riley's boss? Could Williams have a say of the hiring and firing of coaches?
Well, first off, you can't do that. So
if it really is true that he's asking for ownership, then he is more of a mental head case than we think. I mean, surely he's not doing that. LeBron asked for it, and LeBron didn't get it. And LeBron asked for it after he'd been winning for 20 years.
Right. Well, I mean, MJ got it and then had to turn it over when he came back to play.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think.
So why is he even saying that? Why is that out there? If it can't happen, why is it being reported?
Well, it was reported in July, but because he played so bad last Saturday,
that's when
it's drummed back up.
Yeah.
You know, this is stuff that.
But I go back, why? If it can't happen, why is it even being reported? Why are people going, well, that's you can't do that. Michael freaking Jordan had to give it up. Why?
To knock him off his pedestal. It's obvious. Yeah. People that have an agenda against him are bringing it up after he plays bad.
Absolutely.
And it's obvious why it happened this week.
Yeah.
Because he was terrible. His worst game he's ever played.
Yeah.
And so pile on. I mean, that's why that's happening now, rehashing an old story.
That's irresponsible reporting. If it can't happen, if it 100% can't,
well, he may not know it can't
happen. I suppose it could happen. I mean, Miami gave partial ownership to Messi after his career. So when he leaves, he's going to get partial. When he retires, he's going to get partial ownership.
That's right. Yeah.
But we're talking about an MLS team. Yeah. We're talking about a league that's still trying to gain footing in the country at all. We're not talking about the NFL. We're not talking about the greatest.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Chicago
the
Bears.
NFL told Saudi Arabia to kick rocks.
That's right.
When you can do that.
Yeah. You're on top of the pedestal. You're on top of the mountain. And you know what? And who knows? Maybe that is the way they actually approached it, was ownership stake after. And then it got turned into, he's trying to be the owner of the team before he ever even plays a day. I mean, we all know how stuff gets reported, and it's crazy until you really know the story. And it's the perfect time to talk about, release it out there, because he was so bad last week.
Yeah.
If he'd have thrown for 4 touchdowns and 400 yards, guess what? Story wouldn't be there.
No,
and probably not. And probably Dan Patrick doesn't get his information either about Lincoln Riley if they blow Notre Dame out.
Besides that, the other reason why there's absolutely zero chance that it's ever going to happen for any NFL player ever is because. Do you know what that does to contract negotiations moving forward?
Oh, yeah.
You know the can of worms that thing opens up? I mean, you're talking about an NFL franchise is worth at minimum $1.5 billion. Worst one, $1.5 billion. So if you give him 10%, so you just gave him a $150 million
stake.
Yeah.
Before you even pay him any money.
Before you paid him any money? Yeah. It's just not going to happen.
No, there's a reason why it's in the collective bargaining agreement that it can't.
Yeah.
But it's all pretty interesting. And this is I don't know if we haven't seen Caleb Williams in this spot yet. And I really don't know that we've ever seen Lincoln Riley in this spot.
It's going to be interesting to see them have to fight out of
how
this.
They come out. You know, the Riley losses, for the most part, were at the end.
Well, and let's really break it down and be honest about it. If it weren't for the name Notre Dame, the story wouldn't be that you got beaten, that you got your tush kicked. The story would be that you got whooped by a 2-loss team.
Yeah. Yeah. Notre Dame helps in that regard.
Yeah.
Definitely. And now they get it. Utah is what? Have they lost twice?
Once.
They've just lost once.
To
Oregon State. Yeah, I knew they. So that's.
I'm waiting for him to. I'm waiting for it. Here comes the Oregon State.
Yeah.
Within the next week, Oregon State loses to
They lost to Washington State.
Yeah.
There's still one loss though.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I mentioned to Jared the other day that when we did our investment game,
that
Oregon State one could crush y'all's soul if it comes through. I wrote that down. I can't remember where I put it to keep it safe. So, what do you think? USC, Utah, obviously, but the big one tomorrow around the country Penn State, Ohio State. Here's something I heard yesterday I didn't realize it was this bad. You got any idea? So this is James Franklin's 10th year, and he gets to play Ohio State, Michigan every year because they're in the same division. You got any idea how many times he's beaten those two schools in 18 tries?
I'm going to say once, Michigan.
He beat Ohio State once.
Okay.
1 and 8. He's actually beat Michigan 3.
Okay. All right.
So he's 4 and 14.
It wasn't much.
4 and 14 against those two. 1 and 8 against Ohio State.
Yeah.
Is tomorrow a day that he can maybe dig out of it? You both had the same reaction.
So
maybe.
I picked him to beat the spread.
I did too.
Because Ohio State hasn't looked spectacular. I mean, they haven't started. They haven't played a first half yet this year.
That's what Jared was talking about yesterday.
Yeah. So I don't know. You know, do you think he's got that much heat? Well, I'm sure he does because Penn State's just like Oklahoma, and everybody forgets the dumpster fire that he pulled Penn State out of, and Penn State was a dumpster fire. But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of heat.
Yeah, we just don't, because I don't know, Penn State just seems like that, from the jerseys to the location to the way they play, just kind of blah.
Yeah.
So you don't really hear a ton about him. You know, when you hear about him, it's, is he leaving to go somewhere else, not is he getting ran out of Happy Valley. I have a feeling Penn State's going to win this game.
Yeah.
I've liked them all year long. Jared's finally jumped on the bandwagon the last couple of weeks. And it's maybe more of an indictment against Ohio State than it is
that's what I was,
Penn State.
Yeah.
Yeah, Penn State. If Penn State and Ohio State were both at the same level, like as far as playing really, really good up to this point, I would lean Ohio State because it's at Ohio State. It's at the shoe. But like you said, it's like if Ohio State, they just seem a little off, slow to start. Penn
State
got
the number one receiver in the country, and they can't get him the ball.
Yeah, that McCord. Everybody that watched the game, everybody's watched Ohio State play once, and it was against Notre Dame. And nobody remembers that he really kind of struggled until the end there. And then all of a sudden, to his credit, he made those huge throws. The one to Igbuka down on the 1 yard line was it was a missile. Yeah. I mean, a dime.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that good throughout the day. And you're right. When you've got Marvin and you can't really.
And it doesn't even feel like they're trying to make a scheme to get him the ball.
Well,
it doesn't.
You know it's not working very well when you start looking at some of these midseason All-American teams. And if I'd have told you before the season that Marvin Harrison Jr. wouldn't be on some of them, you'd have kept me in this room and patted it.
Yeah.
Because I was losing my mind. But he's not.
No.
He's not on a whole bunch of them because he's just not getting the ball.
Yeah.
Maybe that C.J. Stroud was a pretty good quarterback.
I think so.
Good grief.
Hey, I underestimated that guy. I did.
He was my guy coming out.
He was.
Now, I hated Justin Herbert, and that's clearly the wrong choice because he's good. I didn't like him. He's a good player. But CJ was my guy last year, and so far, that's proven to be.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Looking pretty good. One last for tomorrow. Tennessee and Alabama.
I think Tennessee wins.
Does anybody score 20?
I'm picking Tennessee.
Tennessee's defense is very good.
Yeah.
Tennessee's offense, it's not often in a top 20 matchup you can say this for Alabama, but it's true tomorrow. Alabama has the better quarterback. Joe Milton is terrible. He might be able to throw it through the goalpost, but he's terrible.
Joe Milton has not looked good, but I tell you what.
They need to bring in Nico.
Looked doesn't.
Yeah, I like to see that guy.
I mean,
Bama's offense isn't very good.
They've gone through every quarterback they got, and they still don't have one.
Looked like about the time you thought last week Milroe was kind of figuring it out, then they let him throw.
Yeah,
and Arkansas was back in the game.
Gave him some freedom, and then boom.
It's like, boom, 3 and out. Here goes Arkansas. Now, both these defenses are Alabama's defense is good. Tennessee's may be better.
Yeah.
Tennessee may have the best defense in the SEC.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know what the total is, but under.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Give me Alabama, and they're going to be playing Dixieland Delight at the very end on repeat, just to rub it in.
Whitetail buck deer.
That's what they're going to be doing. They got revenge on their mind. It's in Tuscaloosa.
You're going to be at Big Oak Stadium tonight?
I am. I'm excited. let's go. This is a big-time game.
Big time.
And I tell you, I mean, what I saw last week was the most encouraging thing I've seen from high school coaching in a long time. The fact that, I mean, I don't know if there's a kid on the roster that didn't get to play last week. And not even that they got to. They didn't excel, but they didn't fold either. Mm-hmm. Those young kids that came in and got some playing time last week because we were really playing well, I mean, they held their own. And the fact that we're developing that talent now when we have the opportunity is really exciting to me. So, and got the other kids some rest and get them healed up and get ready because, boy, tonight's going to be –
it's going to be it's going to be for real. I think it's going to be a battle.
Yep.
Physical battle. All right, well, we'll see you there. What's going on down at Garrison Financial?
Hey, we're doing good. We're taking care of people. A lot going on in the world today. We're just trying to navigate those waters and help walk people through it and give them some confidence with what they're doing.
About the time you think maybe it's settling down, the volatility gets cranked up even higher. Holy Moses.
Yep.
Scott at SoonerWealth.com is his email address. 124 North Main right here in Elk City to go see him. Or you can call him, 821-1219. Thank you, Scotty.
Yep.
Appreciate your time. It is Garrison Financial Friday. We'll continue to tell you all about what Scott can do. We'll hit college football. We'll hit some high school football as well before the show is over. It's Skinny on Sports on a Garrison Financial Friday. Coming back next, right here on The Sports Animal.
Hello, my name is Scott Garrison. You may remember me as Scott the Barber or just as Ron and Carla's son. I've been involved in our community since opening Scott's Barbershop on the southeast corner of 3rd and Main in 1998. Now I'm back in the same building as Garrison Financial. I started investing in my 20s. I invested through the dot-com crash and the Great Recession. I started caring for other people's money in 2018, and I truly enjoy sitting down with my clients, understanding their wants and needs as well as what keeps them up at night. Whether my friends just want me to invest a little of their savings or want me to work with their tax and legal professionals to strive towards optimal efficiency, we can do it all. I believe communication is key to helping my clients reach their goals. For if we are faithful over a few things, we shall be given more. Contact me at scott@SoonerWealth.com. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Garrison Financial and Cambridge are not affiliated. This communication is strictly intended for individuals residing in the states of Colorado, Nevada, Oklahoma, and Texas. No offers may be made or accepted from any resident outside the specific states referenced. Cambridge does not offer tax and legal advice.
The Skinny on Sports.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Welcome back. Garrison Financial Friday right here on the Skinny on Sports. Hey, Jared, do you like concerts?
Yeah, just went a week ago today. I went to a concert. Yes, I love concerts. Love going to them.
Listeners love concerts. I'm just sure of it. Mm-hmm. Well, we have the ability to send you to a concert tonight, over at JC Cowboys in Weatherford. Chris Cagle of Laredo Chicks Dig It fame is playing tonight at JC Cowboys, and we have a pair of tickets to give away. So if you want those tickets to Chris Cagle at JC Cowboys, just text us your name. 225-9698. 225-9698. If you want to go to see Chris Cagle tonight at JC Cowboys in Weatherford, just text us. 225-9698. First one to do it wins. It's that simple. Oh, Laredo. There was another one. It was pretty popular.
Man,
Counted through the days, like
you hear his music, you go, "Oh, that was a good song."
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So whoever wants to see Chris Cagle, text us. Problem is the people that have texted us so far on the text line.
Yeah.
I know that they're not going to want to go see Chris Cagle tonight.
I think, yeah, I'm looking
at them.
Be at
Big Oak Stadium.
They're going to be at Big Oak Stadium. That's right.
But if that's not you, fire in 225-9698. College football. What if anything scares you tomorrow, Jared, with the UCF Knights coming in to play Oklahoma in Norman?
Well, they get their quarterback back. I'm not sure what that means, but he's been out for so many games. So there's that kind of the unknown, you prep for one guy, now you got to prep for this guy. So there's don't have a lot of film on him maybe. So there's always that. Then there's the Texas hangover. I guess that's more self-inflicted than UCF. But really, I think the answer is just preparing for a guy that hasn't played for a little bit. How good can he be? I mean, is that why? He can't play defense. He can't stop the rush. But is that why Central Florida has struggled? So maybe they're getting their quarterback back. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, you look at their offense; they are better. They're higher in the nation than Oklahoma is in total offense, knocking down about 517 yards per outing, and pretty balanced. 270 through the air, 246 on the ground. Oklahoma's rush defense has been phenomenal all season long. Only the touchdown run to Brooks against Texas, that's the only rushing touchdown they've given up all year long. So I think it makes sense to believe that the bye week came at the right time.
Yeah.
I think that does make sense, but at the same time, are we sure? Are they not ready to just get back out there and continue, and
a little momentum, keep it rolling?
Yeah, just see if it kind of.
I think it came at a great time because of you get to enjoy it for a week. Get all the praises, let it happen instead of having to prepare for a game and also hearing all the, you know what I mean? So you got, and then and to get healthy. I know that was a rough game. Lost one wide receiver, and I'm sure there's other. They were hitting hard on both sides of the football, both teams too. I think it's fortunate for Texas they got a bye week too. Not because I think they would overlook Houston or that they couldn't beat Houston, but I mean, if you watch that game, there was some hitting happening in the interior and tackles in space. There was some hitting happening. So I think that's a plus for OU too to get that bye week to try to heal up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think that makes total sense. I just, we're seeing it a little bit in the baseball playoffs where maybe the rest isn't helping teams that were rolling. Mm-hmm. Football's different than baseball. I get it, but it's almost like you just don't want to see anything disrupt the rhythm and everything that was happening for Oklahoma in those first 6 games of the season. Who steps in? How do they fill the void? You mentioned Andrell Anthony, the receiver that went down for the rest of the year with a knee. Are we overlooking how difficult that could be to replace what he's done just because we've seen flashes of Nick Anderson or somebody else? Or are we undervaluing exactly what Andrell Anthony did for that offense?
Yeah, we'll find out. I was always pleased all season long, even going into the Texas game, of how well Gabriel distributed the ball to everybody. What was it in that Kansas game? He hit 10 wide receivers or 10 targets.
Can't have been Kansas.
I'm sorry. I was thinking Tulsa.
Yeah.
I got my Blues mixed up. So, and that kind of was a trend all year. He was kind of he was going through his progression, finding a guy, it wasn't narrowing in on one guy, which is easy to do when you have a really good wide receiver like Anthony. Absolutely. Why not? But I guess we'll find out this weekend how important he is in that wide receiver core. But again, I just go back to, okay, next guy up. I mean, there's still Gabriel, I don't think, is looking at a number and who he's throwing it to. He's just seeing who's open through his progression. And I think that was evident. It's been evident leading up before the Texas game with how well he has distributed the ball throughout the field. But he's going to be missed. I mean, he's a great wide receiver. He will be missed. I'm not trying to undervalue him.
He was the one guy that you could count on going down the field to.
Yeah.
In seemingly every single game, and he seemed like he was where the ball found him on third down a lot too. Yeah, I think it seems like less of an issue now than it would have 2 months ago before we'd seen Oklahoma play. But we also hadn't seen him either, so it's hard to say.
He was kind of a mystery coming into this season.
I mean, I can't believe Michigan let him go.
Right?
If we're being real honest,
I wonder if it was philosophy thing. I wonder if he's like, I just don't agree with these guys, and I need a new environment.
Maybe so.
Or
maybe
they went to
around.
him, or they went to him and said, it could be. What if Michigan went to him and said, it's in your best interest to enter the portal?
I mean, he's still a super young dude. That's what's crazy. It's not like he'd been there forever. He hadn't been there long. Will Oklahoma run the ball for more than 200 yards? I meant to put with running backs.
I was about to say, 150 of them come from DG.
I meant to put with running backs against Central Florida, who is giving up, by the way, just a shade under 200 yards per game.
I don't want to say if they don't, it's concerning.
I'm going to.
If they don't run for 200 yards?
Yes. This is like one of the top 5 or 6 worst rush defenses in the country. Well, concern or just give up. It's not happening. If you can't run the ball against these dudes, it's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. Who will we see? Is it more of a steady diet of Tawee Walker and Marcus Major, or do we start to see, the question was asked about Javonte Barnes this week in Venable's press conference. He mentioned how they're hopeful to have him back.
Hopeful means
Sawchuk.
No.
Are they not healthy?
I think it is a health thing. I think they're just not healthy.
I mean, do you think
do
you think that they're playing the best 2 running backs? If everybody's healthy, are they playing the best 2?
If everybody's healthy, no.
But then why do we say that? Because we saw Gavin Sawchuk for a half against Florida State do great things. And we saw Barnes a lot last year. Mm-hmm. Is it just the unknown?
With Walker?
No, with those other 2. Is it because they're way higher recruited? You know what I mean? I can't put my finger on it because I would agree it doesn't seem like they're playing the best 2, but I'm also not there. I mean, they're not openly going to play the worst.
I think they're playing the best available.
Maybe that's right. We saw Sawchuk on the field like twice against Texas. So it's not like he's hurt. He's out there.
Yeah, if he's hurt, why are you putting him on the field?
Exactly. Yeah. And shockingly enough, the times that he was out there, it was to pass protect on 3rd down, which is what you'd think Tawee Walker would be good at with this. It's crazy what we're seeing out of the running back spot at Oklahoma. Yeah, I think DeMarco Murray, it's what will. I think DeMarco Murray knows who the best running back. I mean, you would certainly think that that's true, but it's like no one believes it. It's a wild thing. I don't know if we've ever really seen this. Oklahoma win easily. What do you think?
Yes, because were they perfect against the spread and won as a dog against Texas? So if I'm going to Vegas, I'm sticking with that. So, yeah, I think they win. There might be a lot of points scored, but I still think they pull away. Think like Iowa State, something like that.
Yeah, this has the makings of 45-20.
Something like that.
48-17, something like that. Yeah,
might trade a couple scores early, and then they settle in, and they're fine. They'll ball control and running the football.
Yeah, here's Sam. Sawchuk has to block better. Then why did they have him in the Cotton Bowl on 3rd down?
Yeah.
Like 3 different times. It's kind of mind-boggling. All right, let's go to Morgantown.
Well, do you think they cover or they
win?
win?
I think it's like a 45-17. 42-17, 38-17, or 20.
I don't think this is the thing.
42-20,
I haven't heard anybody talk like this, but obviously there's history here with Gabriel and Levy in Central Florida. So you always hear that storyline injected, like, okay, they really want to get their old team. I haven't heard any of that. I think they're too far removed.
Yeah, it's not. If this was last year, then maybe you have that. But it's been a whole year of football played, a year and a half.
They both
now
have moved on. Yeah, there was no like when Baker left Texas Tech. You heard that every time they played against each other. The Tech fans called him a traitor, and
yeah, but he was mad at
he was mad at them because they didn't play him and all that. There was none of that going on.
It was more amicable.
Yeah. So people might try to say, well, there's going to be a lot of emotion in this game for Dylan Gabriel and Levy, and I don't think so. I think there's bigger fish to fry.
Yep. Are we going to watch a battle for third place in the Big 12 in Morgantown on Saturday between OSU and West Virginia?
I mean, one could say they're still alive for second place, in theory.
Well, Oklahoma State's still alive to win the conference.
There you go.
And
I don't know.
Quite frankly, so is West Virginia.
Oklahoma State's already beaten Kansas State. That's a big win for them in hindsight with what, man, Kansas State's been playing the wrong quarterback the entire year. Is West Virginia, who they got left? Do they have?
I know they play OU.
Well, know that. They have.
Oh, my gosh. At Central Florida, BYU at home, at Oklahoma, Cincinnati at home, at Baylor. Woo. They win this one. There ain't a lot left. There ain't a lot left at all on that schedule. And we talked about OSU's schedule, too. There ain't a ton left on it either. Both of them have Oklahoma. Difference is West Virginia has to come to Norman. The Sooners go to Stillwater. Mm-hmm. But there's a whole bunch of new teams.
And the new teams have
not fared well. Oklahoma State plays all 4 newbies in OU after after Saturday. And just reading that, West Virginia I didn't count them, but I think they got 3 of 4. UCF, BYU, and Cincinnati. They lost to Houston, obviously, last week on that Hail Mary. Golly, what a crusher that could be. Looking back.
It could be.
And then at Baylor. I think whoever wins this game has a very, very realistic chance to end up third in the conference, especially if it's OSU because of what you said with the Kansas State win. They would have any tiebreaker there. Neither one of them play Texas. They both play OU. And they both get a bunch of the new guys on the block. Whereas Kansas State has to go to Texas. Kansas has OU still. Iowa State.
They host Texas.
They host Texas, play Kansas State. And Kansas. Yeah, these two seem to have the inside track to me, schedule-wise. After whoever comes out of the fray.
Yeah, you get this win and then put yourself in a real good position, maybe even to sneak into second place. That's
Absolutely.
What I'm saying. They're still in play for that, even like you said first. But stay in position to give yourself a chance to get to Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
This game gives you that leg up.
It feels like an eliminator for the loser, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least to end up at second. It seems like
I get third place talk. I get it, but they're not hanging banners for third place.
No.
They want to play for a Big 12 championship,
sure.
And these two teams are still alive for that. That's the bigger picture for me. That's what this win could mean for these two teams.
Yeah, but you have no chance to get up to second if you can't be third.
Understood. Yeah.
And winning this puts them square in that battle, and then you kind of see that's what's weird about it. With the new teams. A year ago, it would all be settled because everybody was going to play. And now we're back to that, okay, who's on whose schedule, like it was for the first, 25 years of the Big 12 or whatever, before it changed when the 4 schools left. So now you got to start looking, okay, who's got this, who's got that, and especially with the dominance that the old school Big 12 teams have had over the new ones that have come in this year, that really kind of plays a part. You look at Iowa State. They beat Cincinnati last week easily on the road, but their 5 games that are left, only one of them's against a new one, and that's at BYU. So that's much tougher than what the schedule makers gave Oklahoma State and West Virginia for sure. All right, the big games around the country. You seem like you were leaning more toward the Ohio State Buckeyes in the shoe against Penn State, even though you'd kind of come around a little bit on the Nittany Lions over the last couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're very well balanced. We were doing our flaws. It was really hard to find a flaw. My only flaw was they have trouble, or they give up a lot of, I say a lot, I'm air quoting that one, a lot of points in the red zone. If you get in the red zone against the Nittany Lions, you're going to score. The only problem is it's only happened to him 7 times. That's the only flaw I could find about him. But because it's at Ohio State, no, everyone's talking smack on them and saying, "Oh, they're not like they were. They're slow to start and what." They're listening to that. They're hearing that, and they play well under the spotlight. They have it under Ryan Day. They have at the shoe. And I just think there's that, and and it's the Buckeyes with the stickers on their helmet and everything. I think Penn State, they're always kind of played second fiddle to that. Not so much Michigan under James Franklin, but to that. So I lean slightly Ohio State. I think they come out and they have a real impressive win against Notre Dame. I think that was evident by what Notre Dame did last week against USC. Maybe we'll see what happens to USC further down the road. But because it's at Ohio State, I just lean Ohio State. It just has that making of the place is going to be crazy and they're going to come out clicking on all cylinders. Like, look, we can still play 4 quarters of football here against a good team. So I want to pick Penn State. Don't kid yourself. I just can't do it.
Here's what'll scare you. Percent of plays gaining 20-plus yards for Penn State this year, 3.5%. That's dead last in football. Percent of rushes gaining 20 yards, 1.5%. That's 124th. Percent of completions gaining 20 yards, 9.6. That's 127th. Everybody assumes that Drew Aller is going to be an upgrade over Sean Clifford. He hasn't been. Not yet. But this is his real – this is it.
Yeah.
We'll find out tomorrow. God, those numbers scare me to death. I was really kind of leaning toward Penn State. I've liked them, but I don't know. As you go into this series and you look at what's happened, it's the same thing every time. Penn State's ranked. Ohio State's ranked. Ohio State is ranked higher. Penn State will play pretty good, and Ohio State will win. James Franklin 1-8. Only in 2016 was his only win. Yeah, God, this is making me think Ohio State's going to win. I've been thinking Penn State all week, but it's hard.
ESPN Analytics has them winning 63% chance.
Yeah, I just saw that too as I clicked on the story.
If this thing was at night, it'd be even better. But it's right at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a thing. But get their fans juiced up.
Ohio State probably wins. They're going to win. All right, let's take a break. You're probably dadgummit. I hate liking numbers so much.
Numbers don't lie. That's
not in big giant trends like that.
I keep telling myself that when I look at these. I'm like, numbers don't lie.
That's a huge trend.
They're facts.
10 of 11 or 11 of 12. Ohio State's beat Penn State. We'll be back.
Hello, my name is Scott Garrison. You may remember me as Scott the Barber or just as Ron and Carla's son. I've been involved in our community since opening Scott's Barbershop on the southeast corner of 3rd and Main in 1998. Now I'm back in the same building as Garrison Financial. I started investing in my 20s. I invested through the dot-com crash and the Great Recession. I started caring for other people's money in 2018, and I truly enjoy sitting down with my clients, understanding their wants and needs as well as what keeps them up at night. Whether my friends just want me to invest a little of their savings or want me to work with their tax and legal professionals to strive towards optimal efficiency, we can do it all. I believe communication is key to helping my clients reach their goals. For if we are faithful over a few things, we shall be given more. Contact me at scott@soonerwealth.com. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Garrison Financial and Cambridge are not affiliated. This communication is strictly intended for individuals residing in the states of Colorado, Nevada, Oklahoma, and Texas. No offers may be made or accepted from any resident outside the specific states referenced. Cambridge does not offer tax and legal advice.
The Skinny on Sports.
Now we're back!
Welcome back. Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Garrison Financial Friday. Scotty G was with us earlier. He's not too high on the prospects of Caleb. Is it too low to sell your Caleb? Is it too early to sell it all?
I kind of looked at him side-eyed when he was he comparing him to Jamarcus Russell?
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know if that would go that far.
I think the big arm is what the comparison was there, and maybe the mental.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we got text, Caleb soft. Do you think there would be as much?
His response to the heckling Notre Dame fan was very cringe.
Uh-huh.
Very soft response. It was. I thought the way he handled it on the field was perfect. He didn't do anything.
Well, he didn't do anything
He just kind of looked at him like, all right, yeah, you got me. Move on. But when asked about it, he was pompous about it. And
how much do you think people, football fans, view him as soft because he paints his fingernails?
A little bit.
You think that plays into it?
A little bit. And then, which I don't really blame him for this, but some people do. Him following Riley to USC and not sticking it out. There's still some animosity there where people think, well, you should have stuck it out with the team he committed to and all that stuff.
He didn't commit to the team.
I didn't. Like I said, I didn't commit.
He committed to
I never blamed
Lincoln
him for that.
Riley.
Yeah.
It didn't matter where Lincoln Riley was coaching. That's where Caleb Williams was going.
But my point is, there are people who don't see it that way, and they go,
Well,
oh, you're soft because you just fought. It's kind of like the Kevin Durant thing. You went to the winning team.
You think those same people are mad at Jackson Arnold for following Jeff Lebby to OU when he got the offense coordinator job? I don't think the same people have. I don't think they had the same opinion of each of those quarterbacks, right? Because it worked in the favor of OU when Lebby got the job. And
no, they'll be mad.
They'll
They'll be mad if Lebby gets a head
And then he
coaching
goes.
gig somewhere, and then Arnold goes with him.
That'll be interesting. I just don't think Jeff Lebby's going to get a big enough job for Arnold to leave OU to go to
Tulane.
something like. Well, you're going to get that one. Unless Willie Fritz retires. Let's talk about tonight. Who's had the harder job this week, coaching staff wise? Weatherford trying to prepare with a backup quarterback and making his first start of the year, or is it on this side of it with the Elks trying to figure out what's going to happen with Tyson McSpirit behind center as opposed to Stone Chisholm, or is it kind of equal?
I want to say a little equal. I don't know. I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm physically wearing an Elk City shirt, but that is something. You only have about one half of film on this young man, on this quarterback, to prepare for him. And he was thrust in there due to injury, and so the game plan on Friday night, or was that Friday night? I'm so confused. Thursday night for Weatherford versus Cash. It was so. So I don't know. I feel like Elk's like kind of, I don't want to say flying in blind, but on the other side of that, I said this earlier this week, Weatherford's not going to change everything that they've done. Here we are week 8. You don't throw out the playbook and go, okay, we got a new quarterback. We need to do some things different. So I think you still prepare for it the same. But I think it's a little bit of a challenge, more of a challenge for Elk City coaches, preparing for a guy they've basically never seen.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a lot different.
You think so?
Yes, because at least from what we've seen, Stone Chisholm's legs were a huge part of what Weatherford did offensively, and at least in the second half of last week's game, McSpirit didn't appear to have that same dynamic. Now, when you saw him throw the ball, he looked pretty good at throwing it. And there's part of me that wonders if this doesn't help unleash the guys that have been held down just a little bit, and that is Jet, and that is CJ.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Jet.
Well, that might be forced to step up a little more
and get the ball more.
Get the ball to him.
You know what I'm saying? And kind of change that plan around those two guys. Quite frankly, we've seen Jet make big plays this year, but it's been in the kicking game. It hasn't necessarily been as a wide receiver. And we saw a year ago as a sophomore the impact he can have making big plays in the pass game.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe I'm not sitting here saying anything about playing the wrong quarterback the whole year. It's not what I'm trying to say at all, because what Chisholm brought was something that can't be replicated. It doesn't look like, just from a size standpoint, when you look on the roster. I mean, it's 6'2", 215 versus 5'9", 165. Yeah, you probably don't want that guy getting hit very often. Whereas, Chisholm can deliver blows as opposed to just receive them. But just see in limited, very, very, very limited action, maybe the fit. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. The fit of McSpirit's game fits with what Weatherford's strengths are. And who knows, maybe that it opens up run game for Blackman and Garcia as well. With being able to the threat is a little bit higher on the outside. with what they're going to do through the air. It's supposed to be a perfect night, so it's not like it's going to be a windy. Wind shouldn't be an issue
like
for throwing the football.
No, it's going to be beautiful.
I think it's fascinating to see what happens.
All that being said about the offense, and I think you feel this way too. This feels like it could be a defensive juggernaut of a game.
Yeah,
as physical as both teams want to be,
mm-hmm.
and as defensive-minded as they are, and we've seen that even in losses for Weatherford, they play really good defense in Elk City too. It feels like it could be a 17-14, 14-13 final, something to that affair.
Well, and if the Weatherford coaches are wanting to kind of get McSpirit acclimated into the game, how do you do that? You try to run the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or give him just little easy passes out to the outside that almost work as like sweeps or what have you, just to get him kind of settled in. So yeah, I definitely. I think early. It's gonna. I think the Big Oaks have a good idea. A good idea of maybe what they're going to see from Weatherford defensively, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Elks are going to do what they do. That's just what's going to happen, right? But I think especially early in the game, it's important for the Elks defense to do the job as they get acclimated to what Weatherford's going to try to do. Don't give up big plays. I think containing Nick Jett in the kicking game is of utmost importance. With a new guy under center, you don't want to give either short fields or freebies in the kicking game, and that dude can take advantage, man. He is – I don't know how many – he's had a couple just watching some of the games that called back punt or kickoff returns, and he's had a few that counted. That guy is explosive. Almost unlike anybody that the Elks have really seen. Maybe Haynes from Carl Albert was that type of guy. But as far as just like kick return type receiver guys, I mean, Nixon gets the pub as he should with his physical abilities. There's no doubt about it. But in a lot of ways, Jett scares you more because of his ability. I mean, he can score from literally anywhere on the field. He's smaller, but, man, he can move. He can fly, and he's really elusive. And so I think the Big Oak defense early, first quarter and a half, really needs to do the job. To then maybe some doubt starts creeping into minds and, take advantage of being physical up front on the other side. And it's a fascinating matchup just because you're not sure what you're going to get. And I think it's just human nature, right? When you going into a game and you see the other team doesn't have their guy, it's just kind of human nature to let up a little bit. And the Elks can't do that because of the ball that McSpirit throws and the receivers that he gets to throw it to. They cannot let down, thinking, this is in the bag because Chisholm's not playing.
Listen, if you're letting down, I don't care who's taking snaps, it's your rival.
That's true.
It's one of your rivals. If you let down, something's wrong here. You need to be getting up. It doesn't matter. You should at least be pinning your ears back going, all right, let's go get this guy. Let's go get this team. I don't think that's a problem. Letting down.
Well, just letting down may not be it.
Yeah.
If
it was John Marshall, I see what you're saying, but it's the Weatherford Eagles. The Weatherford Eagles are coming to town. They're going to be up and ready. If it was Clinton coming to town or vice versa. Weatherford going to Clinton, they all get ready for each other. I don't see any kind of a letdown.
It should be right. That should be right.
But they are kids.
They are.
They are kids.
There's just that natural inclination.
Yeah.
Could Chickasha give Clinton anything?
They keep their shoes on. I think they could. There are a little bit of athletes on Chickasha's side.
They always do, right?
They always have those athletes, but
they always have a couple monsters on the offensive line.
Right.
Of course, it's been that Cecil Robinson for years now. But
I think things really have to go Chickasha's way. We mentioned the defense. Clinton's defense has played really well the last few weeks. They basically had an off week last week. From what I understand, they played their entire JV against Guyman and still had a lot of success. Now, I bet you Guyman played a lot of their 2s and 3s as well. But I don't see it being a problem for Clinton. Clinton should be fine.
Yeah, the move that Coach Higbee made after the Heritage Hall game to put Rhodes and Sully back at the safety spots, more senior guys, has worked tremendously, because that was the one thing early on you could throw it on Clinton.
Yeah, Sully is actually, from what I saw when we played him and watching Weatherford, he plays really good defense.
Yes.
I think he plays really, almost better than Cordo. I'm not trying to say that in a disparaging way, but I think he plays really good defense, has a nose for the ball, and you mentioned the senior leadership.
Well, think about how they do it. We said the same thing about Powell.
That's true.
But when you get those guys involved offensively the way that Clinton does on those pitch sweeps where they're making contact, they're blocking guys. Yeah. I think that leads to more of a defensive mindset.
Seeking out hits,
yes,
both offensive and defensive.
Absolutely.
Side.
Yeah. I'm the same way. All right, Merritt and Sayre both have to win. Oilers have it way tougher on the road at Thomas versus Merritt hosting Moreland. Basically, a loss by either puts them behind the 8 ball. Sayre can maybe still wiggle out and get into the 4th spot in the playoffs. Merritt virtually has zero chance without winning the next 3, and that's a tough ask with Thomas, Hooker, and Fairview on the schedule.
That's a murder's row of games right there. Sayre, if they can keep their offense going like they ended it against Merritt last week, maybe. I mean, Moreland, they've been kind of up and down this year.
A little bit. Hollis, basically a playoff game with Balco Forgan coming to town. You get this win, Hollis will be in the playoffs. No matter what.
Long trip for Balco Forgan.
It is. It is indeed. And Hollis got this win last year when these two played in a similar type game. We mentioned Guthrie. Boy, they're for real. They lost, but a valiant effort, 24-21 to Carl Albert.
Without thinking about it, you'd hope that's a 5A final and not a semifinal.
Yeah, who else is in that district? Somebody else is good.
Piedmont and is not Elgin.
Elgin's in the top district. District 1.
I think Piedmont's in this district.
Yeah, I think Piedmont is too. Yep.
They're okay.
Yeah.
You certainly hope that's a final.
Yeah, or Elgin or Del City. Less than 5A is going to be awesome.
The 5A playoffs will be
5A
rocking.
Especially once you get further on in like semifinals. If it could be Elgin, Carl Albert, Piedmont, and Del City.
This might not be as easy for a Carl Albert as we think.
Piedmont's 7-1, and that game is next week. Nope, week 10. Sorry, week 10 with Piedmont and Carl Albert. Elgin MacArthur's got to be coming up next week. MacArthur just blasted El Reno last night.
Oh, really?
46-7.
That's a good win.
Blasted them. All right. Big Elk TV, 6:15. Pre-game 7 o'clock kick for the Elks and the Weatherford Eagles. Battle for second place in 4A1. Merritt on the road at Thomas. That's a 7 o'clock kick on Paragon TV. Also, Hollis at home against Balco Forgan. Catch that one 7 o'clock on Paragon TV tonight. Wall-to-wall high school football brought to you by Paragon Communications. Everybody have a great weekend. Thanks to Scotty G of Garrison Financial. Friday is over.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.